Hello my dear students, how are you? I hope you are fine and everything is going well with you. Today we are going to learn our grammar part in Unit 6. Okay, I want you to open your book, page 78, to be able to read together. Okay? Thank you. Okay, in front of you there are 4 pictures in number 1. You will see in slide 16, you will see 4 pictures. The first one is, there is too much water. There is too much water. I want you to listen carefully because this is our grammar lesson today. Number 2, there are too many cars. There are too many cars. So we said too much water, too many cars. Number 3, there isn't enough water. There isn't enough water. Number 4, there aren't enough trees. There aren't enough trees. Okay, next slide. Of course, you know what I'm talking about now because you have known this before. Countable nouns and uncountable noun. The slide number 17. This is countable noun and uncountable noun. You remember when I told you if you can count anything, this is countable noun, like pens. How many pens do you have? I have 3 pens, maybe. Okay? So 1, 2, 3. I can count pens. I can count chairs. Can you count chairs? Can you count desks? So it's countable now. We can count them. Okay. What about the uncountable? Let's learn about the countable first. So the first one, here you have in front of you a table, contains both of them, countable and uncountable. We are going to read countable nouns first. Number 1, they can be counted as I told you. Number 2, we can use a or an before singular nouns. A pen, okay? An elephant, an ant, a car, an igloo, a phone, okay, a laptop. So we can use a or an before them, singular ones, such as a bag or an apple. Number 3, they have plural nouns. They have plural nouns, so we can use pen or pens. I have 3 pens, okay. 2 bags or 10 apples. Okay, number 4, there is plus singular. Like example here, there is a pen in my bag. Number 5, there are plus plural. Example, there are 2 pens in my bag. Okay. For the large amounts, we say many. I have many students in my classes. I have many dresses in my drawer. Okay. Let's go to the uncountable. Uncountable, so the things you cannot count them. So the first, we are going to read together. Number 1, they cannot be counted. You can't count them. Number 2, we can't use a or an with them, such as sugar. Can you count sugar? Can you count sand? Can you count flour? The flour your mom used to make cupcakes, not the flowers, the other flowers, okay? Number 4, we use there is plus all. There is. We don't use there are with the uncountable nouns. We use there is only. So examples here, there is cheese in the fridge. I can say a cheese because it's uncountable now. So there is sand in the box. There is flour in the kitchen cabinet. Okay. For the large amount, we use much. Much flour, much sugar, much sand, much money. Okay, next slide. Of course, we have affirmative form for the countable and the uncountable nouns, and we use affirmative form and polite requests. Some plus uncountable nouns, like this. Some boys are playing in the garden. Some boys are playing in the garden, okay? So number 2, may I have some papers, please? This is a polite request to you, asking your colleague or maybe your teachers. So you say, may I? This is a polite way to request or to ask for something. May I have some papers, please? Also, for affirmative form and polite request, we use some plus uncountable nouns too. So some, we use it with countable and uncountable nouns. Number 1, there is some juice in the glass. There is some juice in the glass. Number 2, would you like some ice cream? Would you like some ice cream? Go to the next slide. Of course, we are going to talk about the negative. We use any plus plural and any plus countable nouns too. There aren't any apples in the basket. There aren't any apples in the basket. Number 2, are there any pens in the desk, on the desk? Are there any pens on the desk? The next one is any plus uncountable nouns. The first example here, there isn't any oil in the pan. There isn't any oil in the pan. Number 2, is there any water in the bottle? Is there any water in the bottle? Okay, now, next slide, slide number 20. If you want to change the uncountable noun to a countable one, can this happen? Yes, it can. Let's see. We have some uncountable nouns, we can use them as countable nouns. Like bread. I can see I have a bread, but I can say I have a loaf of bread or a slice of bread. I can say this. So now I changed the uncountable to countable noun. Another uncountable noun, coffee or tea. I don't say I have a coffee. No, I say I have a cup of coffee, or I want a cup of coffee, not I want a coffee. This is wrong. You should say I have a cup of coffee. Okay. Water and juice. How can you change it from uncountable to a countable noun? You change it like that. A glass of water or a bottle of water. I have 2 bottles of water. I have 3 cups of or glasses of juice, like that. Soap or chocolate. Soap or chocolate, they are bars. So I want a bar of a chocolate. You don't say I want a chocolate. No, you say I want a bar of a chocolate or a chocolate bar. So you use a or an with a bar of. Okay. Soup, not soap. Soup, the soup, we drink it or we eat it with the dinner or lunch. A bowl of soup, okay. Jam or honey, a jar of jam of honey. Rice, sugar, flour, a bag of rice, a bag of sugar, a bag of flour. Butter and tea, a packet of butter, a packet of tea. Toothpaste, the toothpaste. Okay, a tube of toothpaste, a tube of toothpaste. Cake, cheese, meat, a piece of meat, a piece of cake, a piece of cheese. The next slide, remember, I want you to remember we use how many to ask about the number of countable noun, like how many desks in your class, how many chairs we have, how many pens do you have, okay. We use how much to ask about amount of an uncountable noun, like how much sugar do you want in your tea? How much sand is very too much sand on the beach? Okay. Examples: how many pens are there on the desk? 3 pens. You may answer this question with 3 different ways. You can say 3 pens. You can say lots of pens. You can say not many. Okay. How much sugar is there in the case? You can say 3 kilos. You can say lots of sugar. You can say not much. Okay. In the next slide, we have finished the grammar. We are going to know some information. I want you to open your book, page 79, and read with me. Okay. When there are floods, of course, we continue talking about the floods and the effects of the floods. When there are floods, there can be big problems, of course. Flood water can ruin homes, shops, and offices. Flood water can ruin homes, shops, and offices. It can wash away roads or make bridges and homes collapse. It can wash away roads or make bridges and homes collapse. It's important for engineers and scientists to find ways to protect everyone from floods. It is important for engineers and scientists to find ways to protect everyone from floods. Meteorologists are people who study the weather. Meteorologists are people who study the weather. They can watch what is happening and predict when floods will start. They can watch what is happening and predict when floods will start. They can warn people to put up barriers or sandbags to keep their homes safe. They can warn people to put up barriers or use sandbags to keep their homes safe. They can send these warnings on cell phones so everyone gets them quickly. They can send these warnings on cell phones so everyone gets them quickly. We can install new technology. Such as more powerful pumps to remove the water. So we can install new technology such as more powerful pumps to remove the water. We can keep drains clear and in good conditions so water can move away quickly. When it rains a lot in a short time, there is a risk of flooding. When it rains a lot in a short time, there is a risk of flooding. If we are prepared for this, we can minimize the dangerous effects of flooding. If we are prepared for this, we can minimize the dangerous effects of flooding. I know this piece of reading is very hard for you, but I prepared some pictures to explain the difficult vocabulary for you. Let's go to the next slide to see. Here, slide number 23, the meteorologist. You see in front of you, Sam is a meteorologist. Meteorologist, what is this kind of job? He is a weather forecaster. Who studies and watches what is happening and predict when floods will start. So he is watching what is happening in the weather and he predicts. He knows what is going to happen because he is a scientist himself. His job is very important to warn people before flood. His job is very important. Meteorologist is a very important job to warn people before the flood. Next one. What is this picture? You see a small house inside the water. What happened? The waves were so strong. They washed away the small house near the sea. Next slide. We have two pictures in front of us here. The first one, to make something smaller or less is to minimize. This is big and getting smaller and smaller. This is minimize. I minimize, okay? So next picture is the houses are collapsing due to the earthquake. If there is an earthquake, the houses are collapsing. Okay, next slide. You see here two pictures, but I have one explanation and one vocabulary for those two pictures. The first one is a mobile or a cell phone. This is a cell phone, okay? The next one is for someone is installing or fixing an air condition. Install is for smartphones, applications, and machines. Install is to install applications like WhatsApp, Telegram, or whatever. So you install it in your cell phone. And the next picture, how to install central air condition yourself. So you use install for both, for installing applications and for machines. Next picture. Here you have two pictures too. A picture for a boy wearing a mask. He should wear the mask, especially nowadays. Why? You should wear a mask to protect yourself from coronavirus. You should wear a mask to protect yourself from coronavirus. This is the first picture. The second picture is a warning sign. This is a warning sign. There's a hole in the ground and it's written, watch your step. Watch your step. There is a warning about a hole in the ground over there. Next picture. Here is, you can see a building damaged, a very badly damaged building. There is a lot of damage and ruins here. Ruins. Those are the ruins in front of you. A damaged building, and this is the remains or the ruins of the building. Thank you for listening, and I want you to study hard. This is the end of our lesson. Bye bye.